Greetings and welcome all to FuwaFM. Has been a short while since the last one, for once. And today's topic is OELVNs, or Original English Language Visual Novels. One thing I've always wondered is why they added Original English Language Visual. Like, why don't they just make it Original English Visual Novels? Why do they need to remind everyone that English is a language? I always find that
I
odd.
think it's to clarify that it's not English as in British English.
Yeah, totally.
That's a very awkward thing to clarify.
Yeah. Okay, so original English language visual. Then yeah, they mean exactly what they mean. That is visual novels that are basically any visual novel that is made outside Japan in the English language. That doesn't necessarily have to be in the US or the UK or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Which is very awkward because I know there's a couple of visual novels made in like Germany and Russia and stuff, so all of them are excluded from this little club, I guess.
Well, if they're not English, yeah, they're technically not. Yes.
Well, we could still
In
talk about them
practice-
anyways.
People
I
tend
guess.
people tend to like lump them into Western
Yeah,
Western
Yeah.
visual
ones
novel.
into anyway. So
They should just be referred to as non-Japanese visual novels.
NJVN. Okay.
Yeah.
That would honestly be more accurate.
Yeah. But when has
But when Korean visual novels still count, do you really want that?
and do Chinese visual novel count?
Why not?
Yeah,
Not Asian visual novels. NAVN, not a VN. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Things get complicated really fast if we go ahead and try and put things in our own categories. But anyways, so God. Saying this is so weird. I'm so used to like just reading it. Saying it is just weird. I'm not gonna say this all podcast. OELVN.
I think honestly, what we could do is just use a newer term that all the people like in the so-called OELVN community use, which is EVN or English Visual
EVN.
Novel.
Yeah, okay.
I think
That
that's
I
much
could.
easier.
Yeah, that's okay. EVNs. Okay. So
Oh, so it's a Pokemon visual novels. It's EV visual novel.
EVN. Oh yeah, EV Visual Novels. Fuck
It's
yeah.
EVs.
EVN.
Oh, I like it.
Oh, God.
Pokemon Go has
God,
got it, even into
Pokemon Go
that.
is seriously everywhere. and I just came here for a break from that stuff. Okay. You guys have disappointed me. Okay.
My
Okay,
apologies.
I'm gonna do my best to try and make as many Pokemon references
God.
as possible during this podcast.
Please, no.
Oh,
I'm
shit.
probably not gonna be able to come up with many, but I'm gonna try.
Okay, that we definitely needed that. Now, as for the actual topic, yes, EVNs.
No introduction of people.
Come on, how many times are going to introduce you, man? People are like sick.
You
of this
should
part.
do it
Okay,
again.
never mind, move on then.
Come on,
Okay.
introduce us.
Okay, we have Ash 700, we have Scared, and we have Zakamutt.
Yeah, right.
It's a joke.
Great.
man.
Nobody who
Great
listens to this is going to understand what you're talking about now.
Okay. So we have Ash. Say hi, Ash. Okay.
Hi, tired.
And we have Kenneth. Say hi, Kenneth.
Hello, I'm scared apparently.
And hi, Zaka. Say hi.
Hi, I'm Zaka. I'm Swedish. I'm a Viking. I'm Zaka. I should say all these things all the time.
Okay. Great introduction.
For the record, for the 10 people who listens to this, we are referring to Kenneth as Scared because that's his, apparently his Discord name.
Yeah.
Why is it? Oh,
I don't know. I guess it was when Babby first created Discord. I created it for him or something like that. Can't honestly remember. But yeah.
Very,
Babby
very.
should
I
figure
must
out
say,
who it
this
is.
was a very.
and now he's too scared to switch back.
Okay. I think that's enough for introductions. Okay, so the actual freaking topic, EVNs.
Yay.
So in general, throughout the visual novel community, EVNs are looked down upon to some extent as a bit of a joke, one could say, or like definitely lesser in standard than their Japanese counterparts. Who here, let's say, agrees with that stance?
Yeah, I'm
Like,
happy to
things-
say
thi-
that I think the majority of English language VNs are like worse than Japanese VNs. Or I guess not exactly. I would say that there's more good Japanese VNs out there than there are good English VNs. I mean, there's also, I'd say the bottom quality for each is about the same.
Yep.
Actually, there's
Well,
probably more bad hentai VNs coming out of Japan.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I'm not really going to disagree with it, but I'm going to say that it is not fair to compare Japanese visual novels, which are much more of an industry, to English visual novels, which have, at least until very recently, really only been very much an amateur endeavor. And if you look at the doujin, amateur indie scene in Japanese, it's not all that good either. Although there are some gems, like, well, Tsukihime was actually a doujin, I believe. But like, it should be seen in perspective.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mm.
Ash, want to add anything?
Not really. I mean, I mostly agree with the points that the other ones brought up. I also think it's a consequence of that most EVN creators just don't have as much experience as their Japanese counterparts, since
Or
visual
money.
novels, at least, or money too. But it's also this thing where VNs have been around in Japan since, at least the early 2000s. Have they been fairly popular over there? But over here in the West, I don't think they really gained that much popularity until
Very recently.
2010-ish? Was it around that time that they started growing? Somewhere around that region?
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
I mean,
like a little bit
yeah.
after Katawa Shoujo actually gained recognition, then they started becoming a thing, I guess.
know. I mean, for me, it's like I only know about the VN industry here in the West since Katawa Shoujo came out. I don't really know much about how it was before that.
Yeah,
Me
pretty much.
neither.
Pretty much, like that's how most people, like that's even the famous starter visual novel Katawa Shoujo.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was that. Okay, what do you think are like the main what can I say, ways in which EVNs are like worse than Japanese visual novels? Like, is it just quality, length? Is it like the art, the sound, or is it basically everything, or what?
One thing.
Well, I don't. You
Go
go ahead, Kenneth.
Okay. Like a couple of things. One thing I really notice is so many of them are much shorter. You don't get anything really that approaches the length of something like Fate Stay Night or Rewrite. Like most of them, I think the longest I've seen is like 20 hours-ish. And most of them just tend to be like maybe 1 to 3 hour things. So
True.
Certainly you don't get as many epic long tales. Also just the production value is lower and the writers sometimes are good, but are often really not, and are just like don't seem to have any clear idea of what they're doing.
Yeah. So like
Yeah,
we've
pretty much
rarely seen like actual professional writers writing an EVN. Not that. Yeah, pretty much never heard of. Okay.
Well, I mean that's entirely understandable because, like you said before, it's like the vast majority of EVN creators, they're just hobbyists. It's just something that they're doing in their spare time, I presume. It's not really I mean, how many EVN creators are there who are actually able to do it as their job? Like 5?
I don't know, like maybe
4?
everyone at like all those guys who keep busting out Sakura VNs. I think they're doing it for a long time.
Yeah. The
They're
Alien Works
pretty
guys seem
consistent.
decent.
Which ones?
The guys at Alien Works, they released Highway Blossoms fairly recently and are working on like human reignition project. We did a Kickstarter for human reignition project, and that started the whole thing, I think.
Oh, neat.
But yeah,
Are they able to do it full time?
I think they're doing it full time or something. I'm not quite sure, but they seem to be quite good to it at least. But it's possible they do
Cool.
something else on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know the Love in Space people actually do it full time, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Oh, the
That's
Sunrider
honestly,
guys.
yeah, it's like Love in Space are honestly the only
Yeah.
VN studio I know of who are making it full time. Who apart from freaking Wingcloud, but
No, it's not
Wingcloud
just.
lives in their own little bubble.
Where's that Tom Gorchowiak? What is his brand called again? I don't think it's Moacube, but he actually has made VNs his real business for a little bit of time.
Oh,
Uh,
actually,
Okay.
Since we're talking about people and making VNs seriously, I think we should mention Invert Mouse.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
Yeah,
He
he
doesn't.
makes.
Does he do that full time?
I think
I
so.
think so. I mean, he does. Wait, no. Actually, he's actually.
Nah,
Now that I remember, he said he has a job, but I mean, he's made
nah.
quite a few VNs, and like they're pretty decent, and they're
Is
steadily
it making?
getting better.
Is he creating visual novels as a part-time job or just as a hobby?
Yeah, more or less, just as a hobby. He
Okay.
has like a full time job, more or
Quickly
less.
check this.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what I was thinking was Winter Wolves. I think actually.
Oh, Winter Wolves. They made
Who?
the thing on phone. What's it called?
They
God.
made like lots of stuff like Lauren, Serious Royal Trap, but those aren't really that good ones. I think the recent stuff they make.
Uh, at least I've heard of them.
Anyway, the guy leading Winter Wolves actually kind of made visual novels into industry. I think he lives like in Poland or something. I'm not sure,
Okay.
but he actually farms out scripts to other writers and so on too. So I mean, he actually does live on it as far as I know, but he also hasn't done just VNs. He has done games too, more RPG stuff of some kinds. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, we like
Fair enough.
basically like yeah, most people don't do it as a full-time job. Although
Yeah,
a few people are.
a few people are.
Hmm. Okay, since we started talking about Sunrider, let's go ahead and ask, what is your favorite visual novel? English visual novel, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say because it's like when you say
Yeah.
favorite visual novel, Rewrite and Planetarian. Duh.
No, not another
Oh,
rewrite
rewrite
podcast.
podcast.
Come on, we have enough rewrite podcasts,
I
guys.
know.
Okay, go ahead.
Actually, on that note, we should do one after the anime finishes airing, so we can talk about how it horribly screwed things up.
I haven't watched the anime. Damn.
Well, it's
Me
I would
neither.
say it's starting to be okay. Well,
Really?
Whoa.
okay, that's a bit of a sidetrack. Anyways, let's get back to the topic. Ash, what do you?
Now,
Okay.
before this podcast dittos the
Yeah.
previous
Yeah.
Rewrite podcast,
Yeah.
Pokemon reference 1.
Wow.
Oh, for God's sake, Ash.
Good one.
Not really.
Go ahead.
Just spread about that rare candy, baby.
Your favorite EVN. Oh,
Okay, so
Ash,
Me? I
Yes,
don't want to go
you're-
first. Pick someone else.
your first
Favorite Eevee. See, it's so difficult because it's like if I were allowed to pick 3, then it would be a lot easier because in that case it would be Katawa Shoujo, the Starcraft visual novel, and Lucid 9. And I'm pretty sure it stands between Lucid 9 and KS, Katawa Shoujo. And I really want to give it to Lucid 9, but it doesn't have a proper ending. That's the problem with Lucid 9. That's the real problem. So I mean, it's such a cliched answer, but I'm just gonna have to say Katawa Shoujo. I mean,
It's
it's
a wonderful ending. It's just, it's so dramatic at the end. So much.
By the way, I'm just saying.
excitement at the end.
I'm just going to quickly mention right here that I'm one of those few lucky people who only read to the last choice and did not proceed
smart of you.
afterwards. Yeah,
very smart of you. Do you know what happens after that point?
no. So it just
Oh,
Okay,
man.
let's not
Don't
spoil it.
spoil.
Let's not go there. Let's
It's
not
just gonna
go there
hurt.
in that case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything out the last 10 minutes of Lucid 9 is just completely it's not fine to talk about them, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very spoilery.
Yeah. For once, we're going to respect the viewers and not spoil everything.
Sure.
Okay. So yeah. So it's Katawa Shoujo for Ash. Kenneth.
It's
Ooh.
the one English language VN that I've thought is like comparable to Japanese VNs in terms of quality. Like the art style is really good, the music is pretty good, and the story is actually like competent. I mean, it has a bit of slice of life stuff, which is very generic, but the characters are likable and the mystery in it is done really well. And actually, I think I thought it was better than Ji Senjo no Mao from what I've seen of it so far.
Whoa, bold
Whoa!
statement.
Wait. How much
Bold
have
statement.
you read of Jisenju no Mao again? You've read it all?
I read it all, and I've done a review of it too.
Oh.
Whoa,
Oh.
Bold statement by a
Yeah.
Canadian
Oh.
guy.
I think it does
very bold.
like most of what Jisenjo no Mao does, except also has more likable characters. So
Maybe. Although, like, I
I
don't
do
know,
not
like,
agree-
the
no, I
extent that
agree with
Jisenju no
that.
Mao went to, I would say, is, like, rather incomparable. But hey,
Yeah.
that's your opinion. Okay,
well, this is
Zaka?
subject to change if they mess up like the second
Zaka,
half.
Zaka.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah. Well, I would have to disagree on the art part. They have some clear fuck
Yeah.
ups on the art, but like some of the sprite arts, like I talked about, and like, this looks like canon, and then said like, yeah, our art history was inspired by the canon art style at this point. And I'm like, okay, that's why it sucks.
Canon, really?
Really? I
Yeah,
think it looks way
yeah,
better
But
than
it
canon.
looks nothing similar.
I think it
Yeah,
was
but
a little better.
some-
Yeah.
like the thing is, it's inconsistent. Some of the sprites are legitimately canon style, but quite a lot of them don't look so shit, so they're quite good. And we might not be able to fix that either going forward. But yeah, it's got decent art, but you can't say it doesn't have its flaws. But as for my personal favorite, I'm going to have to go with Katawa Shoujo myself.
God, freaking normies, God. Pick something new.
Yeah, I like, my apologies, but Katawa Shoujo I still think is just great because the way it does the character roles and actually plays with archetypes of characters that you think are going to happen in those routes. And I just still think that's very good. And other than that, I don't know. I think that one thing you missed that, but yeah, Lucid 9 I like also a lot. I have it almost as high as Katawa Shoujo on my VNDB votes because I care about those. But as I said, like, it's part 1 of 3 parts apparently, and I don't know what we're gonna do with it.
3 parts? Really?
3 parts? It's
Yeah.
gonna be
That long?
Wow.
Too.
I think it's going to be 3, but if it's 2, then that's fine for me too.
Oh,
But
actually,
Holy
yeah, I think
ambitious
you're right.
developers.
They were going to do
Well-
like all the character routes next time, and then have a final route after that, or something like that.
Well,
I'm just gonna be
Whoa.
so scared of playing. I'm gonna be so scared of playing part 2 because I'm just gonna be sitting there throughout the entire game thinking, "Oh God, please don't end on a cliffhanger. Please don't be on a cliffhanger. Please don't." I don't want.
yeah.
I'll just be really
Okay.
happy if we actually get to see part 2.
Yeah.
how long
There-
that took.
these
Part
things
1.
don't always continue, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Especially considering, I mean, they made it for free, and it was pretty...
yeah,
Like, there was a lot of work put
Yeah.
into that, so I'm not sure how they're
That's
going to
true.
compensate for it. Oh,
Mm.
I don't know. But anyways, I think they have, like, a lot of people, let's say, encouraging them, so there's
yep.
decent chance.
Actually, here's an interesting question which I just have to ask, even though it might be a bit of a sidetrack. To all 3 of you, my question was, how much would you like Lucid 9 if parts 2 and 3 are never made? And so what we have of Lucid 9 right now is all we're ever gonna get.
I'd be, like, fine.
Yeah, well,
be
you
okay
didn't
with it.
read read the last 10 minutes,
I
so
guess.
good
Yeah.
for you.
I think for me, I'd be fine if you just remove, if they were to say we're not going to be able to finish the rest, and we're patching out the last 10 minutes. I'd be like, okay, that gets pretty good then.
Okay,
Maybe they'll...
but if you do, but that's the point. That's the thing, Kenneth. They're not gonna change anything, and they're not gonna add anything. They're gonna keep it just the way it is right now, and nothing changes.
Okay, then I'd be really pissed off. Because it really
I
doesn't... It, like, they came to a nice conclusive ending, and then they had a huge cliffhanger right after.
It's like
Yep.
they built up a really nice, fine house, and then in the last 5 minutes, you had Charizard coming in and burn it down.
Okay, actually, now you're really trying hard.
Yes, of course I am.
We need to Blastoise we shit out of it, out of a Skype.
Okay. One's enough, Zach. One's enough. Okay. So
I've spent my entire freaking day packing up my apartment into freaking boxes. I'm gonna have this moment. You're gonna let me have this.
okay, but
But yeah,
try to make them a little more artful than Charizard ran into a house. But anyways, so that's Lucy Knight. One thing I like most people are going to do is just that I think they're just going to, whether they go on or not, they're just going to leave the ending just in case they decide to I don't know, 10 years from now continue it. That's what writers do.
personally, I think you should actually go for the ending still and get wrecked, because I think that's kind of fine. I think that having sat on it for the amount of months I have after reading it, I think I'd be fine even if they announced that they'd not make another installment. I'd be a bit sad because I really want to see what happens, but it's still quite good, and the climax scene at the end is pretty cool. What comes after, I don't know, man, but still.
We shall see, hopefully. Okay, so enough Lucid 9 review. Let's talk about other EVNs.
What?
Sure.
There are other EVNs?
Yes.
Yes.
Not very
Oh yeah,
good, but
I
others
still
do exist.
I still haven't done mine actually. So my favorite English visual novel is Ibn al-Nafis.
I
Which
fucking
one?
knew it.
Wait, what?
Oh my god.
No, I just did that for the meme. Sorry. Ibn al-Nafis
Which?
is an okay, Zaka, do you want to explain what Ibn al-Nafis is, please?
It's an original, I don't know what language. It's it's not even original Asian. It was written by Japanese Arabs, and it's
Yes.
available in English, Japanese, and Arabic. And it tells the tale of some old Arabic apothecary medicine super science guy that part was important. Nobody gives a shit about it except for Bobby. I gave it a 3 out of 10.
I forced Zaka to read that. Yeah, that was.
I did it
that
for
was
the
fun.
memes, guys.
Yeah, for the
For the
memes.
memes and you.
Well then.
It was worth it. Okay, so now for the my actual favorite. So sorry for that. Yes. Okay. But anyways, okay. So my favorite would be Cursed Sight from Invert Mouse.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that one I liked a lot. I particularly liked the theme and when I read regular novels, my favorite theme is historical novels and stuff that that theme, I guess. The novel was mind blowing, but I think its only real problem was that it was a little too short. I think if it was long enough, it would have been it would have rivaled the other big ones, Katawa Shoujo, Sunrider, Lucid 9 and those. But yeah, hopefully we'll see greater stuff from Invert Mouse in the future.
Sure.
Yeah. What did you think of the ending, Babby, for that?
Which ending? I think
Final ending, I guess.
yeah, the final ending. It was basically a
least
happily
bad
ever
ending.
after, right? I think I don't quite recall it, but I think I was okay with it. I think I don't quite recall. I remember that there was one ending I found annoying, but yeah, it was okay other than that. I don't actually remember what happened. I
That
think.
feeling when you might be the only one who hasn't read Cursed Sight, and you kind of want to, but you just don't really buy it. But whatever.
Okay,
Sure.
so we've gone over a decent amount. Okay, so how about this question? Will EVNs ever be as good as their Japanese counterparts?
I don't see any reason why they can't. I mean, it depends significantly on whether or not we can get a large enough market here that it would be viable for people to start doing it full time for a very long time, and then also employ artists and musicians and professional writers, and simply be able to do it for a long enough time that, for one, the vision novels which they create, they can spend so much time and so much money on them that they will be at least comparable in length to the VN counterparts, and also that they are able to just create visual novels for such a long time that they get the experience necessary to create, something like Fate Stay Night, because it's you don't write something like that as your first ever novel. Basically,
Yeah.
you need to have quite a number of years of writing experience behind you before you can create something like that. So, sure, if just the market and the industry grows large enough, I think it's definitely possible.
So
It's, Japanese people are not inherently better to other people when it comes to creating visual novels.
So I'm actually going to be a bit pessimistic and disagree with you here. And the reason
Really?
that I
Why?
think we're not going to end up getting or
Diversity.
that it's never going to go as big is what I see probably happening with this market is that the moment we're seeing the English VN market flooded with a lot of people doing very, very amateur productions. So, and now that we're starting to see a lot of them on Steam, if you ever try and search for anything that's legitimately good on Steam in terms of VNs, it gets
yes.
buried under
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of thoroughly mediocre products like that
Yeah.
most people are never going to be interested in. And maybe they'll get into the Japanese VNs, but in terms of trying to get into English VNs, there's just not a good way to sort through a lot of the stuff. And I feel like any of the good English VNs I've come across have just been through recommendations or looking at VNDB. And I feel like it'd sort of be like North Americans trying to put out JRPGs. Like, we can do it, but I think Japan is already so far ahead of us, and also just the fact that I think a lot of the hardcore fans are purists, that I don't think they'd give English VNs a proper chance. I would love
But Undertale is the best JRPG, man. Undertale is the best JRPG. It's the best JRPG. I don't know what you're talking about. Undertale was made in Western. It's the best JRPG. Okay, never mind.
Undertale best JRPG.
Yeah.
Well,
Undertale-
yes, it is.
Is Undertale even an RPG? I thought it was a Toho game.
Yes. A what now?
What?
No.
I think that
what
is
is it called
true.
again? A bullet hell. Yeah.
The fighting mechanic is bullet hell-ish, but the actual
Yeah, it's
presentation is JRPG-ish.
Yeah, it's like RPG combined with bullet hell, combined with puzzle games, combined with a complete and utter deconstruction of video games as an entire medium.
That's so
It's
hard,
hard to-
man.
It's very difficult to pin down exactly what Undertale is, but it's good. That's the
Yep.
only thing I can really say about it. It's
Yes,
freaking amazing.
it's the best. It's the best EVN, guys. You should go read that. Right.
Go read Undertale, bros.
That's really
Yeah.
stretching the definition of VN.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch.
It was right. Okay, but yeah, you should continue.
Yep. What was the question, anyways? Oh yeah. So Ken said EVNs will forever be shit. Okay, so Zach, what do you think?
I think, well, since we want to be nice and have different opinions here, I'll say that not only can OELVNs or EVNs really get as good as Japanese, I think that for people living in the West, they can actually become better than Japanese visual novels simply because we follow the sensibilities of a Western person. And, I mean, that might sound pretty obvious, but I'm not sure if a lot of people think about this. Partly because a decent lot of people currently into visual novels are weebs, and they like Japanese sensibilities.
Yeah.
But,
Japanese stuff.
I mean, not everyone is a weeb. That is a fact. And,
Not everyone is a weeb. That is a fact.
and
Check 2016.
even among people who are kind of weebish, like me, some people still really like the Western style stuff. And, I don't know, I think that we might get more serious VNs that people often seem to call for. Though Moe VNs sell a fuckload too, so people like that were just a bit more quiet about it because it's low status, I think. But
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's actually one of the problems with EVNs that we didn't touch upon, which is that a lot of them really try hard a little too much to be like Japanese-ish, to appeal to the weebs. If you
Well, I mean, that's understandable because it's like the vast majority of visual novels that exist right now are, weeb visual novels, and so naturally the audience for visual novels are mainly, weebs, us basically. So it's pretty difficult to make a visual novel which appeals to a different audience when that audience doesn't exist yet.
yeah,
Yeah, sure enough. Just a quick mention to a what was it called? Black Sands. Yeah, game visual novel that will probably, maybe, may or may not come out in the future that does not have weeb art.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, the problem I
Uh,
We're
find
not sponsored, by the way.
not sponsored, but actually wasn't sponsored. But anyways, go ahead, Kenneth. What were you saying?
Okay. Like the problem I see with going away from the weeb art style and also storytelling is I think a lot of people who are currently into VNs are into VNs as an extension of being into anime and manga and that type of thing. And I see that English VNs would lose a lot of that audience if they started to switch more towards Western sensibilities. And once you lose that audience, then you don't really have anyone who's going out to get it. Because I don't know any friends who are not weebish who are like, oh, you know what I should do? I should read a book on a computer with pictures and music. That seems like a great form of entertainment. So much better than like watching a movie.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to
Yeah, to market. Let's say.
market.
Yeah.
to
I
be
would-
honest, though, I think that even staying within somewhat weird conventions, I think you can still make so that Western people like it more. I think that there is like a medium between completely going off like the weeb train and complete staying on it. I think you can adapt to the Western market more for a bit as an English writer and hit a sweet spot there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess I can make one example-ish of that, which I mentioned this before, but the StarCraft visual novel, the SC2VN, it kind of does that, because the entire storyline of it, and also the characters, it's nothing at all it doesn't remind me at all about the Japanese visual novel at all. I don't think we would ever see something like the SC2VN out of Japan. I don't think they would ever make it because, StarCraft's not very popular over there, I think.
Yeah, true.
But the art style, I think, is kind of anime-esque.
It's pretty
kind
anime.
of.
Yeah. Pretty anime.
But
So
not nearly
I think-
as anime as classic VNs, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure, but I think it's enough that people who are already into VNs right now are not going to be put off by the art style. I think they're going to be able to go into it with a relatively open mind. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Being a person who's massively into StarCraft 2 already, of course, the SC2VN was like a gift from heaven for me. But yeah.
Yeah. I think if I were to make like a non-weeb visual novel, I would like not even talk to the already established visual novel Western visual novel community. Like maybe
Like marketing it.
like maybe a little, but like they would definitely not be my target audience because I mean I'm not gonna put weeb stuff. If I'm not going to make a VPN. I might make a VPN. You never know. Okay.
Like I said, good luck reaching out to the broader audience.
Yeah,
in
actually,
that case.
on that note, do we think... I just had something that I was thinking about. Do you think that if someone like Telltale, which already does games that are kind of similar to VNs, started branching out into something that had less gameplay and more of a story focus, they could then potentially lead a new wave of English language VNs?
Yeah, that's
because
one
they
way.
actually
That's
already
sure.
have an
I can
audience.
see that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I
can see
mean.
that.
That's an example of like not touching the visual novel community and still making getting a decent deal.
I mean, I've played I've played 2 of the Telltale games so far, and quite frankly, they basically are very, very, very advanced visual novels. There's not that much interactivity in Telltale's games. I mean, they're great stories. I really enjoy them, and I would highly recommend Telltale's games to people who do read VNs. But yeah.
Well, if you consider Telltale games to be VNs, then we can already say,
No,
look, there is a successful English market for VNs.
No. I wouldn't say that they are VNs. It's not. How do I even describe this?
The lines are thin. Even
It's
even
not
the
something
lines.
that you read. It's similar to. I don't even know what it's similar to. It's like watching a TV show and occasionally you get to choose what lines the characters say. Basically, it's more like an interactive TV show. I would say Telltale's games. God, I can't pronounce that name.
Well, some people would use that same description to describe VNs, right? But
Really?
anyways, who cares?
Would they?
Yeah, they kind of are,
School
especially
Days
when
is
they're
pretty
voiced.
much
School Days is, but School Days the exception, I think.
No,
Yeah.
you can just run your visual novel on auto mode. It's basically a TV show with choices. But anyways, that is besides the
that. A
point.
TV show with a really, really low frame rate.
Yeah, I guess.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine someone just like downloading a Let's Play from YouTube of like some visual novel and just posting it up on TV and saying, "This is our new show, people. It's got real low frame rate, but I think you're gonna enjoy it."
Holy shit! Wow.
That would be interesting. Okay, that was a considerable sidetrack. What was the question again? Oh yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
we've more or less answered this. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so here's just a bit of a random question
Mm-hmm.
or suggestion actually. Recommend a random visual, English visual novel, one that isn't popular, you know, like not Lucid Knight, not Sunrider, not Katawa Shoujo. Hey,
Oh.
recommend a random good EVN. Yeah, go ahead.
Who
That's
wants to
really
go first?
tough.
Yeah, I need to open my
Give me one
VNDB
second.
and
I'm
it's
gonna
blocked.
open my VNDB.
Same here.
VNDB is blocked for you.
Oh,
Believe it or not, I actually have one to give you straight away because I actually read the questions in advance and actually thought about it.
yay!
Also because I read EVNs or something. But yeah, I'm going to suggest 1000 Lies. It's actually an original Spanish language version novel, but it's got a translation at the same time as a release, I believe. It's quite interesting. It starts off as a bit of a weird romantic comedy, but it ends up with as like a deep mystery that makes you re-examine each line after you read the whole thing, because there's a whole fucking lot of lying and overall like mystery going on about what hell is actually happening and the reason why people are acting the ways they do.
Mm.
So yeah, it's not perfect, and frankly, I don't know if I'm just stupid or if it was really fucking hard to understand some of its more philosophy bits, and like it's saying stuff like, "Do you now understand?" And I'm like, tries to figure this out for 10 seconds. No.
I read like 15 minutes into that.
Yeah.
I've yet to finish it. But yeah, it looks interesting. The art, I would have to say, in particular, is like really good for an EVN.
Yeah,
Well,
it has some interesting presentation as well. So basically, I would very much recommend you to try it. You can get it for free on Steam, and there's not much else to say about it.
And
What did you
on-
say the name
and-
was?
and-
1000
Android.
Lies.
Yeah, just 1,000.
1000 Lies.
And,
Okay.
Yeah.
and it's also on Android, so you can get that on your phone. Which is what I
Yeah,
did.
I know.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
pretty
I'll
decent.
go up next then.
Oh, this looks pretty nice. I'll check this out.
Yeah, you definitely should.
Yeah, okay, go ahead,
Neat.
Kenneth.
Okay, so I'm actually pretty sure that some of you may have already read this and will disagree with me recommending it, but I'm
Mhm.
going to recommend Always the Same Blue Sky, which is
Really?
very short, but I
I-
found to be a really relaxing read.
Did you
It's-
make a video about this?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, it's
2
it's that
years
one.
ago now?
Yeah.
Ages and ages ago. It's got good music, the art style is nice. It's a really relaxing read. It'll take you like at most an hour. But it's like, I
Okay.
don't know, it's a nice thing to do on maybe a rainy morning someday.
Okay.
Sure. I think you're one of the very few people who genuinely like that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Full
Uh,
acknowledgement, it was the first VN I got a review code for, so I may be slightly biased because of that.
Yeah. It actually was the
Slightly.
first one I was sent to me as well.
I mean, to be fair, I've also since then turned down reviewing a lot of other things just because there's a lot of really, really bad review codes I've got sent for things.
Yeah.
I think I got one that was like lesbians versus space pirates or
God,
something.
what the heck?
That
Out
might
of
be
interest-
good though. Who knows?
It might be good. It might
No,
be good.
I have not. Lesbians versus space
What the heck?
pirates.
That sounds extremely random. But anyways, okay.
Mm.
So yeah, okay, I'm going to go with a really short one. Although
Alright.
I think this one is not available for PC. I think it's just on Android. But anyways, it's called Nanolife. This is
Ooh, Nanolife.
yeah. It's
That's not a bad choice.
It's extremely short. It's like half an hour. That's all the routes. Like if you read one route, it's gonna be like 5 minutes. But yeah, it's really short visual novel. But it was extremely unique in the setting and message it decided to go with. It's basically about like like an AI that has its own choice in an MMO, and dealing with stuff like is killing characters to level up morally correct? Questions like that, yeah. Pretty
It
interesting.
seems to have a
Sure.
PC release, so
Yeah.
it should be fine, not just on phone.
Oh, it has PC
Yeah.
release. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's pretty decent.
Nanolife was pretty nice. It made one very horrible afternoon I had when I got stuck on a freaking railway station and I couldn't get out of there. It made that a little bit more bearable.
Okay, nice.
Mm.
Let me see how long have we been going now?
I haven't actually mentioned mine yet,
Okay.
so I can do that. Okay. I mean, the one
Oh,
obvious
you haven't
which
done
I
yours.
would
Okay, go
recommend.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the obvious one which I would recommend is the SC2 VN, definitely. Though, because honestly, the other ones which I would recommend we've already talked about. I mean, except Sunrider.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Though I have one other possible recommendation, and this is do not read Soccer Angels. Don't read it yourself, but find a Let's Play of it. Because that, when other people do like nice voices for the Sakura games, it is actually some of the most hilarious stuff you're ever gonna find. It is so funny just to laugh at it.
I think I've watched one or two of that. That's face.
So I'm really curious, what do you mean by nice voices, Oscar? Do you want to give a demonstration?
Go ahead, Ash. Give us
I
a
don't have the
demonstration.
script for freaking Soccer Angels yet.
Uh-oh.
No, Mimi, get over here. We need to take the main character over here and go out on the beach together and lose our bras all the time. Don't you understand that? My God, I really can't do this voice. It really hurts my throat.
God, my ears. Way too high pitched.
Okay, Ash.
Oh,
You're
I
good.
apologize for asking
You're
for
good.
this. I'm
Oh.
so sorry to everyone
Okay, you
listening.
can go back to making Pokemon references. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Pikachu.
No. Damn.
Combination strike.
Okay. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I was going to say one of the Zakamutt, what was the visual novel that you made me read? I forgot its name. It was pretty decent. The EVN, the one that we traded with. If you
Oh
recall.
yeah, which one was it again?
Was,
Was it Autumn? I think
yeah,
it was
yeah,
Autumn, yes?
yeah. That's also a pretty decent visual novel. Nothing mind blowing, just cool, calming, and has a particularly nice like background sound. I'm not sure. I think it doesn't use music. It just uses like sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can't remember, honestly.
yeah.
Maybe
I
that's...
think it just uses sounds, and that gives it a very calm atmosphere. So yeah.
I never noticed that, but maybe that's why it's that got such an interesting atmosphere.
Yeah. Pretty decent. EVN. Okay. Anyone else have any recommendations?
So I actually have a question for people.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Sure.
Whoa.
So we've already talked about what we think English VNs do bad and why they won't be successful. What do you think English VNs tend to do well?
Let's be a bit positive, guys. Okay.
Sure, I can answer that first, actually.
For once. Okay. Go ahead. Okay.
I think I find that they actually bring a little bit more variety into the genre than their Japanese counterparts are. Because for one,
No,
there's
everything is
two
in high school.
tropes. That's the first thing. Everything is in high school, regardless of what you're trying to do. You're trying to go to the moon, go to high school. You're trying to solve crimes in the Japanese underworld, go to high school. You're trying to save the world from freaking some 7 Guardian Grail stuff from blowing up, I don't know, stuff, go to high school. Whatever.
Yeah.
But then it's
Earth,
also
heaven,
like,
hell, all blown up. You're in high school in the middle of them.
yes. Yeah. You're a ghost, you're in high school.
Because
Pretty
that-
much.
And it's also that in the Japanese VNs, they seem to be contractually obligated to put hentai scenes into every visual novel ever, even though they don't necessarily need it.
Most.
With
There are a few, like,
Yeah.
all age VNs, but yeah, go ahead.
with English visual novels, I feel that they are at least trying to steer away from those, and so it seems that they are trying to look at the genre with a little bit. Maybe could I use the words unclouded eyes? Like they're trying to take the genre in new
So
directions.
I'm actually going to disagree there. A lot of them advertise, oh, we have a decensor patch now, so even if it's on Steam, you can still get your dose of hentai with all the characters.
The Sakura games do that, and the Sunrider games do that to some extent. Which ones do that more than that do that?
Those are the two
Yeah.
main ones I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's exactly. Those are the two main ones out of.
Every other one, yeah. I would also say that, yeah, that's true. Like, EVNs generally have less, like, there are more all-age EVNs in comparison to, like, ones with
Also.
age scenes or with
Yeah.
decensored.
Which is actually something which could be useful for this that we were talking about earlier, when if we could potentially try and get more people into visual novels, then EVNs are probably going to be the better
Definitely,
gateway
yeah.
visual novels, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's like, something like, I don't know, something like Fate Stay Night, for example, it's a little bit hard to sell to people
Within
when you
sex
have
scenes.
to try and tell them that, oh yeah, by the way, there's this scene where the main characters decide to fuck in a ruin just because of magical transfer, but don't care about that, don't mind that, it's still a really nice read.
Or
It's a little bit
or you could
hard
just
to recommend.
or you could just get the Real to Nua version. And turn it
Yeah, that too.
Wait a minute, guys. Are you suggesting that sex doesn't sell? This is contrary to everything I've ever learned. Please elaborate more.
Right. To an extent, yes. I'm saying that it doesn't. I'm saying that it's going to put off a number of people, and even more so, I think it's going to make people less prone to talk about it. It's not something that I think people are going to want to tell their friends about, and thus
Yeah.
the whole spreading through word of mouth is going to be significantly limited.
Sure.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. I really wanted to say something, but god damn, I forgot it. Look it up.
Say something about how I don't know. I
Positive
don't
about
actually.
visual novels.
Whoa,
Wait.
that's hard.
Yeah, say something good about you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
About EVNs.
But
Okay,
god
I've
damn,
got
Ash,
something.
Ash said everything. Okay, go ahead, Ken.
Okay, so one thing I've actually noticed for English language VNs is most of the ones I've read actually have very competent soundtracks. So, like, a complaint I've had for a
What?
lot of Japanese VNs is so much of their music really sounds like elevator music.
What?
Really?
Like, it's great.
Is that a new
What?
genre now?
What?
Elevator music? Do you know what that is? Am I the only one?
Yeah,
who...
I know.
I didn't think it was a
I've never
Canadian
heard it.
expression.
I've
Okay.
never heard of it.
So it's
but
like
No, never heard of it.
elevator music is you take regular music and like slow it down and make it soft and like kind of boring. And like
But that's what soundtracks oftentimes are.
yeah,
no,
It's
It's
just
just
background
supposed to be there in the
music.
background.
I
like
don't know.
look at movie soundtracks. For something like the Star Wars soundtrack, there's like really epic music there, or from Lord of the Rings or something like that. You can have epic music in the background and stuff
But
that you would
like
listen
epic
to
Yes, but
outside
but-
of
but-
when you're listening to actually watching the movie. And I feel that
Like
adds a
yes,
lot
but
more.
that
Epic
that's
V on
because
it.
they-
Oh my
they
god!
didn't-
Guys, shut up! Oh, whatever.
they need to
Jesus.
try and
Ash,
make the
Ash,
music.
give someone else a chance, goddammit. I want to say something.
But I want to
No!
reply.
Anyways, I just want to quickly say that epic visual novels do have epic soundtracks, be it Rewrite or Fate Stay, like ones that have like battle stuff. And dare I
Yeah.
say it, Monster Girl Quest. Yeah, it has this
Oh, for
soundtrack.
Don't bring that
Whoa!
back up, please.
no.
Guys, let's talk about Grisaill's Common Route again.
God,
Oh.
no, that's like the only meme we haven't resurfaced. But anyways, what I want to say is that yes, there are Anjisen Junumao, which, if I recall correctly,
Oh,
the soundtrack
yes.
you didn't like too much, but yeah, it had a lot of epic tracks. But like most visual novels, like are calm stuff that don't like need epic music.
No, like
So yeah,
there's
Well,
a lot
I
of
think
VNs that even if they're slice of life, they'll have moving moments, and a lot like aside from key stuff, which generally seems to do pretty well, there are a lot of the other ones don't have the most remarkable music for the like more moving moments, and I've actually found that English language VNs tend to do that better on average. I feel like, well, they don't do as well in a lot of other areas. Like, a lot of times their background music is more interesting, and is at very least stuff that I would listen to while not listening to the VN. Because even if it's going to be background music while you're, like, watching the characters brush their teeth and go to school, it can still be something that you want to listen to outside of just watching the VN. It doesn't have to be jarringly repetitive.
Kenneth, can I
guess.
say two
I
things?
guess sometimes that's true.
Yes, go ahead.
Kenneth, can I say 3 words?
Say them.
Rewrite Planetarian soundtrack.
But he just said key
Whoa.
VNs are the exception, so yeah.
Okay, I guess.
No,
Correct.
VNs have great soundtracks. I'm not going to...
You don't dare touch those, yeah? Anyways.
I don't know. I'm apart from thinking about like you're saying. I don't know about your sample size because I do think that generally the Japanese VN soundtracks are better. Maybe it's because I played more like bad soundtrack English visual novels. That's also possible. But yeah, I think that the other part of the whole epic thing and something is like in movies you can like adapt your music to when people are speaking and not. And in background music, you have to make sure that people are actually able to focus on the text to read it. I don't know if only I have this problem, but if the music gets too busy, it might get a bit hard to read and compare, like while listening to it, and that can have a negative effect, which means that you can't just do anything with music in a visual novel.
I don't know. I guess I study while listening to music, so
Ooh. That's not
I am very used to reading with distracting music, or what other people might find as distracting music. So
Yeah,
Well, part of
I
it
do
is
that
that-
too. I mean, basically any time I'm alone, I'm always listening to music. So yeah.
I think it also depends on like when you're studying with music. If you're familiar with the music you listen to, it kind of just merges into your brain eventually, and it's not really the same thing as when you might not have heard the BGM track too many times before. To be honest, I really admire BGM tracks that actually accept that they are background music. That's one of the reasons why I like Takeshi Abo's work on Ever 17 and Remember 11 so much. It's fucking brilliant rock background music, and it's actually also very listenable to outside of the visual novels we're in. But yeah,
Ever 17, really? I felt that Ever 17 were only slightly above average, and
I think-
nothing more, nothing less.
yeah, I think it's a great soundtrack. It probably depends on what you value in a soundtrack and if you like techno in the way he does it. But yeah, I would have to disagree. I think it's a very good soundtrack.
All right, fair enough, I guess. How did we get on Ever 17 soundtrack? That's not the topic we're supposed to be on.
it was what
Yeah,
was good about
it was
VNs, and I
EVN,
was
yeah,
arguing
EVN.
that English language VNs had, on
Better
average, better soundtracks, and everyone else disagreed with me.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yep, it happened.
Okay.
I'm amazed that you would make that argument, Kenneth, when you haven't played Katawa Shoujo, have you?
No, I haven't.
No, and I would argue that Katawa Shoujo has, of all of the EVNs that I've played, Katawa Shoujo has hands down
The
the
best.
best soundtrack.
Yeah. Uncomparably.
And I'm
Is-
amazed that you would make that argument, Kenneth, when you haven't played KS.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
thought that Lucid
Cursed
9
Sight,
soundtrack were only okay.
and
Yeah, none of the tracks standed out to me, except maybe like the titles we was nice, I guess. But not even that way. But
Yeah.
anyways, Zaka, do you have anything positive to say about EVNs?
Like, I've been trying vaguely to think about it, but I'm not sure. Like, the positive I can think of is more of a potential than what we currently are. But actually, I would agree that there is some more variety to them. But that's partly because of like they're more experimental or indie nature. And if you look at the experimental visual novels, like on the Japanese side, they can be pretty crazy too. So I don't know if it's fair to compare that with Japanese either, but obviously that is the market we have. We have a more generally the bigger Japanese visual novels translated and like the smaller English visual novels. So I suppose EVNs do have that factor of like unpredictability and variability that you might not find in a usual Japanese visual novel. However, there are quite a few like random doujin visual novels, Japanese translated, like Blue Star or To Remember Us and all of that have this uniqueness to it as well. So I'm not sure if you can fully make that argument. Yeah.
Okay. God, I actually can't really think of anything. Because the job is depressing.
I have one more question. I have one other question
Yeah,
though
go
for
ahead, go
everybody.
ahead.
Okay, so you remember I made my little stuff VN reader save video? You remember that one?
Oh, that
a little
one.
while back.
The
Yeah.
one, yeah.
And in that video, I make this one joke where I have one of the characters say, "I do not read original English visual novels. They're not the same standard as the
Yeah.
Japanese ones."
Yeah.
And then I have this sign saying just unhelpful VN hipsters in the background, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's not the
pretty
point.
fun.
That's not the point.
Yeah.
Here's the real point. In the comment section, there's this one guy who puts a timestamp to this little thing, and then he writes, "He's right though. Original English visual novels can burn." Happy face.
Right.
my-
That
Yeah.
I can tell you for sure that guy comes from the visual novel
Yes.
Reddit.
And yeah.
Oh
and,
wow.
Go ahead.
and my question is, what would you say to this guy? What would your reply be to this guy after you said something like this?
I wouldn't talk
You're
to
wrong,
him because I
lol.
don't think you can have a constructive conversation with someone like that, to be quite
Yeah.
frank.
Yeah.
If you are
I'd be
forced
like,
to, you
"That's
have
nice."
to say something to
Like
him.
at gunpoint, I would like recommend him the stuff that we just everything we just talked about, all the ones
Yeah.
we could. Yeah, I would, or like maybe I would ask him what he prefers in genres and recommend suitable EVN counterpart.
Okay. Okay, but let me change up the question a little bit then. What's your general opinion on this attitude? Because we know this attitude exists.
Yes, dear,
It's
whatever
too
you
wait.
say, dear, go off and play in the corner now.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's kind of sad that you don't want to expand your views, but whatever, man. I see that you're looking at these all these Japanese visual novels. You know, actually, if you really like them, maybe you should learn Japanese, by the way. That way you can be even more elitist. Just tell them. I can show
Yeah.
you these resources and they'll help you.
I once
You know what?
I once actually got into like really serious argument with someone on the forums, Phono forums on that. But that was mainly because I think he outright insulted one developer, and
Okay.
that developer came and PM'd me about like how this is basically annoying him. And like this attitude, I think like we're all readers, so we don't really care all that much if there are dicks here and there. But as an EVN like developer, those kinds of
Yeah.
attitudes are really hard to deal with and
Yeah,
like depressing.
I can see that.
So yeah, you guys don't care about those freaking idiots. Keep making good VNs.
Yeah,
Agreed.
especially Lucid 9 parts 2 and 3. Especially
God,
those.
yes.
Especially those.
Actually, after hearing what Babby said, I would change my answer slightly. I think if someone was, like, ragging on someone like Invert Mouse, I would actually try and argue with them. Just because it's one thing to rag on the genre, but if you're going to be ragging on individual creators who are, like, putting their heart and soul into the work, I think that's, like, an entirely different thing. And I
Yeah,
think
sure.
I'd be fully happy to get into a flame war if it's about someone who's engaging in online harassment, because that's not cool.
If I saw someone doing online harassment in my comment section and it was just attacking the person, not the product, and it's not constructive criticism, it's just really harassment, I would just delete the comment.
Seems
Or
fair.
just delete the comment and call it
Yeah.
a day. Bye. You're not welcome here.
I think it could be interesting to talk to these people if you talk to them face to face or maybe in voice chat and like do it in a less presumptionless environment. But I don't know. I can be like socially like accept people that have very weird views sometimes and just like go along with them, and that can be fun. Do it for the ride too. But I don't know if you people could do that. Like I would start asking them like, so why do you think that? And, like let them talk about why EVNs are shit. Maybe like try to rebut some of his points, but like
I guess that
not
would
really
depend.
get
That would
mad.
depend on my mood if I was like patient enough to deal with him. But
Yeah,
most of the time,
like
I'll just like fuck off.
I mean,
know what,
it's
I'm
not
really
just patience, it's just curiosity on my part, like knowing why he thinks what he does. I think that would be a bit interesting for me.
Yeah, I guess. You know what could be interesting though? To
Yeah.
this guy, his comment is 6 months old, but it would be interesting to reply to him, linking this podcast, and with a timestamp to when we start talking about him.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
That is some next level stuff right there.
Should do that.
Mom,
10
I'm
out
on
of
the
10.
internet. I'm internet famous, kind of.
Those days. Okay. I don't know, but I think does anyone else want to add anything? Question,
I think that covers
recommendation,
everything I had.
point? Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with what we have said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm satisfied, so.
All right, so that will be it. Okay, guys,
Yeah.
say goodbye. And no
Goodbye.
Pokemon stuff. Shut up. Okay.
I was trying desperately to come up with any Pokemon
I
that has anything to do with
smelt you trying. But anyways,
that has anything to do with reading, but then I realized that damn it, they only made like Chandelier, which is this Chandelier Pokemon, and then the ice cream Pokemon, but they never made any book Pokemon. Like they
stop
made
giving
the
them
freaking-
ideas.
They made the Keyring Pokemon, but not a book Pokemon. That would have been so perfect. Game Freak, you let me down.
Just wait. In
Ah.
the new Honolulu game, whatever that they're doing, there'll be a book.
Okay.
Honolulu? They're making Sun and Moon, but Honolulu?
Well,
oh wait, Sun and Moon.
Yeah, pretty much
Okay,
it's set
I
in
get it.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And for some
guys.
bizarre reason, have like alternates that create ice type Pokemon out of things that were previously fire, because that totally makes sense being in Hawaii. Anyways, off topic.
Yeah. Okay. We should stop recording.
Pokemon
say
Academy
goodbye, by
visual
the way.
novel. The Pokemon Academy visual novel. The Pokemon Academy visual novel. There's my Pokemon reference. I couldn't believe I didn't think about that sooner.
Exists?
Yes, that's a thing.
Wait, so you
Oh
date
my
God.
Pokemon
Man.
or what?
No, it's like a Pokemon high school, basically, where the people there are Pokemon
High school.
trainers.
Okay.
It would be high school.
Of course.
I think it is
of
high school. I
course,
don't know. I haven't
of
looked
course,
into it
of
much.
course, of course.
What else would it
Why
be?
didn't I think of that sooner? God.
Yeah, but I think it's high time to say goodbye.
Okay.
Bye.
Sayonara.
See ya.